All right, Computer 75. How's it going?
Everything is good. How you doing, my brother?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to have you on Camp Capone News.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here.
For sure, for sure.
I want to
Appreciate
give a
you
shout out
also.
before I even start. It's just some people I got to shout out. I want to shout out Rudy Rhythms, my man Big Sam 100, Raekwon, Nas Jungle, Nashawn, just my fam, you know what I mean? Dub Aura, Shop, peace.
That's what it is. Shout out all them, man, for sure. So for people who don't know, you're mostly known for being from Bravehearts, but
Well, I'm affiliate. I'm an affiliate.
you're affiliate of Bravehearts.
I'm an affiliate, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, are you from Queens also?
No. I'm from Harlem, but I hung out in Queens a lot during my teen years. I hung out in Queensbridge a lot. I hung out with my guy 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine is Grand Wiz, one of Nas' best friends' cousin, and that's happened to be my best friend. So that's how my affiliation with Queensbridge came about.
So you and Nas have a good friend in common.
Right. We have good family members in common. Two cousins in common. That one is his good friends, best friends, and one is my best friend, 6ix9ine. Ant, shout to Ant 6ix9ine, QB, shout to Grand Wiz.
Now, how young were you when you first met Nas?
Oh man, I would probably say, I don't know, like 90, like 14, 15, around that time. But it was brief. He was always moving and coming and going. I was mostly hanging out with 6ix9ine. I was going to the bridge, hanging out with 6ix9ine. I would go over to what's called the Hill, like C-Town and God Bless Draws, Yams, all of those dudes, Slate. Those are the guys that, I used to kick it with quite often when I used to go out to Queensbridge. Shout to Jungle too. I love you, Jung. Word.
So this is around 1990, just a few years before Nas blew up. What was it like in Queensbridge at that time?
I had never been to Queensbridge before until 6ix9ine brought me out there. So when I got out there, it was just like, it's the biggest projects in the world. Like literally, it's the biggest projects in the world. I've never seen so many buildings, so many twists, so many turns. And it was just like a whole new world for me from Harlem and the Bronx. It was just like just a whole different vibe, a whole different energy, but it was still dope. So I just embraced it. My people came from there and it was just like I was in my second home.
Was Nas buzzing at the time?
Absolutely, yeah, he was buzzing. I think 90, 91, it might have been Barbecue then Halftime. Don't quote me on it, but I think Barbecue, Halftime, and Back to the Grill Again with MC Search. Somewhere in those areas. Again, don't quote me, but I'm just giving what I think that was going on during that time with him musically.
Are those like early Nas tapes or
Yes,
mixtapes
this
or
is
albums?
early Nas. This is the early Escobar, early.
Okay. And this is when he was with MC Search. He was with him, I want to say during his first album, I believe, right?
Yeah, MC Search. I think the lady that signed him was a great lady in music and hip hop named Faith Newman. It was MC Search and Faith Newman. So shout out to them because they brought amazing talent to the world. So shout out to Search. I'm definitely a Third Base fan too. So.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you're just going back and forth from Queens to Harlem, Queens to Harlem?
Queens, Harlem, Bronx, Queens, Harlem, Bronx, Queens, Harlem, Bronx. Those were my routes, like all my life, most of my life.
What's Harlem like at this time?
Oh man, that's like the paid in full, the tail end of the paid in full era. That's the tail end of like AZ, Rich, and a lot of great guys that were legendary Harlem figures as far as the streets was concerned. Shout to AZ Faison. Big love. Rich, rest in peace.
Now, do you try to rap or anything at this time? Because this is the '90s. A lot of people are rapping.
Yeah. Actually, I'm rapping. I'm actually a hardcore MC at this time because Showbiz and AG is definitely some good people from the area, and they happen to bring Big L through. Showbiz and Lord Finesse brought Big L through my neighborhood that I grew up in the Bronx, to 163rd and Tenton, and they had a record called Yes You May, and I went upstairs and I ripped up all my rhyme books. I was like, yo, that's it. I gotta start from scratch. This kid is ill. I'm hearing Nas. So they taking hip hop to another level verbally, man. It's like dimensions that you couldn't even fathom. It took a long, they were really the catalyst for change. Like how Rakim was in the 80s, they were the catalyst for our generation to take hip hop to a different level of deep thought, deep consciousness, and storytelling, and real precise and ill with the lyrics, you know what I'm saying?
Ah, that's what's up, man. Okay. Big L, man, you know, he had a big impact. Like, it's kind of crazy, man, because, you know, over here on the West Coast, I mean, you know, we didn't get all the mixtapes and stuff in the 90s. You know, it's like, you know, the internet now, everybody can get anything. But back then, you know, we didn't really get these mixtapes that you guys were getting. You know, they didn't have mixtape stores in the 90s.
Well, there was
so
not to cut you off, but I wish that the West Coast could have had what we had on the East Coast, because I think that would have been a big merge from the East Coast and the West Coast to get together and understand each other a lot more musically, you know. And just some of the pioneers that started that was Brucey B, Star Child, you had Kid Capri, you had Doo-Wop, shout to DJ Doo-Wop, Official, Ron G, E. Kim, SNS. You had a lot of dudes that was trailblazing that era of mixtapes, and you could hear all of your favorite artists on these mixtapes. Even if they wasn't being played on the radio, you was able to get a good listen to them.
Yeah, for sure, man. Mm-hmm. So Queensbridge, you're over there, you're hanging out. Is Mobb Deep around at this time?
They're around, but I'm not really in the Mobb Deep mix. Like, I'm not really in the Mobb Deep mix. I know of them, but I'm not really in their mix. I didn't really get in the mix with Mobb Deep until probably like 98 at the Greek Fest. They used to be, like, before Summer Jam was popping, they used to be the Greek Fest in Long Island. And that's the first time I met Havoc and Prodigy. Even though, you know, I was hanging out in Queensbridge quite often, I didn't really get a chance to really chop it up with them until the Greek Fest in like 98 or whatever. I think I was like maybe 17 or something like that, 18, and somewhere around there. Matter of fact, I was actually 19. I was 19, 98.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when is like the first time you hear about Nas like kind of blowing up, or that, you know, things are taking off for him?
When I heard halftime on the radio, halftime was just like insane, bro. I was just like, he said, I would change that, excite the feds. I was like, yo, that's crazy. The line after line, I got more kicks than a baby in a mother's stomach. You know, so for me, that was basically a serious time for lyricism in hip hop.
So this happens, Nas takes off, you know, so this is a little before Biggie, right?
I think maybe Party and Bull might have been out during that time, maybe. I think Big had Party and Bull out during that time.
Okay. So he was just kind of getting going then,
yeah,
too.
Yeah. Big was kind of Yeah, Big was kind of getting going.
Now, when you're in Queensbridge, man, this big project, this famous project. Are people coming through? Like, are rappers coming through? Are you seeing anybody over there?
Well, the rappers that are from there is MC Shan, Marley Marl, Poet and Hot Day, Roxanne Shante, MC Shan. So you got legends that's already from the neighborhood there. So, of course, they might bring whoever through the neighborhood to come hang out with them sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But those are some of the people that I also seen in passing too. Shout out to Roxanne Shante. She's a legend. Shout out to MC Shan and shout out to Marley Marl. Real dope, real dope.
Okay. But no other guys are ever coming through or anything?
Not that I can recall because I wasn't glued in Queensbridge. My times were just like, yo, we going to QB. And I'll go for however, a little time and then back uptown, you know what I'm saying? So sporadically, I'm in and out, in and out, in and out. So I never really got the chance to sit there and really enjoy the neighborhood much as I would have liked to. But I did get to enjoy a lot. I got to see a lot. I got to know a lot. And I got to, KRS-One had this thing that the Bronx was the greatest thing that was ever created until I heard Nas. Until I heard Nas, I was like, oh man. And much respect to KRS, he's a legend, South Bronx. But Nas just upped the ante so high, man. Lyrically, man, it was just like, wow, this is what Queens is about. This is where I need to be at. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it was talking about things that we were going through as kids, you know what I'm saying? Drug dealing, hustling, going out of town, homeboys getting killed, dudes going to Rikers Island, dudes getting locked up, going upstate. So it was basically a blueprint, for New York City, man. And Nas he just took it there with Illmatic, man.
What was Nas like at this time, when you're going to Queensbridge?
Real smooth, man. He kind of remind me of a Harlem dude, uptown. Like, you know what I'm saying? Real smooth, waves, little jewels on, army pants, fresh, you know what I'm saying? Real to himself, not, he'll give you a dap, say what's up, but he was really to himself, you know what I'm saying? Really more just, a laid back brother, you know what I'm saying? Like, just one of those dudes that's deep in his thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Like, almost sort of the aura of a Rakim. Like, you know what I'm saying? That kind of vibe, you know what I'm saying?
How deep do you go into the music business? Like, Nas starts to blow up, Illmatic drops. Are you kind of doing your own thing? Are you, at this point, are you rolling with Nas a lot? Like,
well,
do you?
Well, a little bit, like I would say, 95, 96. I run into Big Moondog, which happened to be Big Pun. That's who I run into. He lives in the back of my neighborhood, my grandmom's neighborhood in Forest, by the Blue Courts in this place called Littleville. And I had these little promo stickers that my man Young Lord made up for me. He was one of the bad boy hitmen. And it said my name was Computa Killer at the time. And I was just running around putting my stickers everywhere. And then I wound up seeing full of clips. They slapping them over my over my stickers. So that was like a cold violation. I'm like, yo, who the hell is this putting their stickers over my, over my stickers? You know what I'm saying? And they was like, yo, that's Big Moondog. I'm like, Big Moon, who's that? They like, yo, he from Littleville. I was like, man, I gotta go over there and I gotta see who this is putting these stickers over my stickers. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Now, what happens when you find out?
I go over there. I went over there and I went with a couple of my homies and they was mad deep. Puerto Rican dudes holding it down, mad deep. They was there on the block and Pun was out there. He had on a stocky cap, black t-shirt, black Timbs, black jeans. And I was like, yo, man, you Moondog? And he was like, yeah, what's up? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? he used to talk like that, like he was out of breath, like, you know what I'm saying? Who wanna know? Who wanna know? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, I wanna know, man, why you putting your stickers over my stickers, man? And he's like, yo, yeah, son, cause I could do that, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Cause I could do that. And I'm like, all right, yeah, all right, man. So if you that nice and you putting your stickers over my stickers, I need to hear something, man. And we rhymed, man, for about, I don't know, probably maybe like an hour or something straight. And I heard some of the greatest lyrics that I ever heard in my life. And I gave him some of my best lyrics, and he had mutual respect for me as an MC. And he was an awesome dude, man. He actually used to box at a place that I used to box at, Fort Apache. He used to box. A lot of people don't know that. He wasn't always a big guy. He was in shape and he had hands. He knew how to throw them, man. So definitely that was my introduction to Big Pun.
Did you guys become friends? Did you guys start hanging out from there?
Absolutely. He used to come to my house. After that, he used to come to my house, chill. You know, he used to bring the crew with him, and we used to smoke blunts. We used to drink 40s, order up a bunch of White Castle and sit there and turn on instrumental beats and freestyle, write rhymes. And he came to my house quite often, man. He was a very, very good friend of mine.
Do you have any wild stories hanging out with him?
Not really, except that I would just say he just represented a light. He represented a light and a greatness that that you really see in a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna get up here and make up a whole bunch of stories like I had wild, ill stories with him. It was just us bonding as artists. You know what I'm saying? And kicking it and hanging out. And he was a very, very good person, man. And he was very knowledgeable about music in itself. You know what I'm saying? He knew what he wanted to rhyme over. He knew what he wanted to sound like. And so let me fast forward. I hear a song that was produced by my bro Showbiz called Firewater. And I heard Big Pun on Firewater. It was Fat Joe, Big Pun, Raekwon, and Armageddon. And he was like, I'm all about business and enterprise and advising, financial advising on franchising and wisen their horizons. I was like, yo, that's crazy. So off of that song, Firewater, it was all over every mixtape that you could think of, and it was just buzzing. And then back to Richard Frierson, the same guy that made my stickers up, one of the bad boy hitmen. He made I Dare You for Black Rob. For Mace, Niggas Wanna Act, We Can Act. He made You Ain't a Killer for Big Pun. And he made It's So Hard for Big Pun. And countless other hits. He's just super, super talented producer.
Okay, and was Fat Joe around?
Absolutely. Rich called me, Young Lord. He was like, yo, man, Big Pun is gonna be in the studio. Come through, man. I want you to come in the session. Fat Joe was there, he was there. And he pulled out his ASR 10 and he made You Ain't a Killer right in front of me, right in front of us, rather. And I ain't gonna blow up the sample or nothing like that, but bam, bam, ba-da-da-da. And then I just heard Pun spit and I was like, yo, this is gonna be crazy, man. So yeah, that was Fat Joe was definitely a major part in his success, giving them a platform. And, you know, both from the Bronx, both Latinos, both heavy set, you know, and putting it on for the culture, putting it on for the people. So I thought that was dope.
Man, you know, recently I just interviewed somebody who was locked up with Boy George. Did you ever run across Boy George, being from the Bronx?
I mean, I seen him in his cars pass around once in a while. He used to go to the same junior high school I went to, but not at the same time. I went in the 90s. He was going in like I think the mid 80s or something. He was bringing all kinds of sports cars to school and his name was ringing all throughout the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? They was talking about, he had the flip license plates with the oil shooting out or whatever the case may be. Mind you, we're real young, so these are stories that, you know, we hearing. But in passing, I seen you know him zip by in his cars once in a while, music playing. He was from Cypress Avenue, over that in that area, Cypress.
At what point do you start rolling with Nas and Bravehearts really hard?
Well, so I have my own career now coming up. I signed to Select Records in 1998. It was Cash and Computa. I had a partner. I signed with Fred Maneo. They were responsible for Tone from the Trackmasters, MOP, UTFO, Papoose was up there, the Real Roxanne, UTFO, Whistle, AMG was a Kid and Play, Chub Rock, a hell of a roster. And I came over there to start out my career. And I went through artist development. My A&R at the time was Theo Brown. He's currently working with Soulja Boy. And I was just like really listening and learning how to format records. So DR Period, who produced Mo Money, Mo Murder, wound up being my A&R after Theo Brown broke out, after he left the company. And then that's when I started dropping bomb after bomb. I dropped How Y'all Want It with Sonny Cash. We dropped New York, New York. That was like the first New York, New York ever dropped. Literally, I'm not even capping. It was a Frank Sinatra sample. It was really done just for, we wanted to be able to touch the people, and make a record for New York, man. We wanted to be able to touch in with the people, and we did it in a real creative way, man. We used the Yankees, we used certain little things, and it came to be a lot of underground classics is what I did. I was always really a strong underground artist.
Okay. And you got signed
Yeah, I got signed for $500,000. We got signed for $500,000.
Damn. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Did you guys put an album out?
Yes, we put an album out. The album did very, very, very well. It was Rap Attack number one for 10 weeks. And then we dropped a record called Ground Zero. Ground Zero was for the World Trade Center. And that was number 3 on Billboard for 11 weeks straight. Which wound up going platinum.
So you got your career taken off.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seems to be going good for you. You're putting out CDs and everything. At this time, New York is doing a lot at this time. New York hip hop.
Right.
And so do you start going on tour? Like what's your who all are you meeting? You know what I'm saying? Like what's your day-to-day basis like?
So I'm starting to meet a little bit of everybody now. Monty Lipman, he's now at Rock Nation. Burt Padell, he was Biggie's accountant. Very wise OG. He was a bat boy for the Yankees in the early days. Master P, Silk the Shocker, C Murder, Destiny's Child. Before they went solo. Nelly.
Okay, do you ever come across DMX?
Yeah, I actually did. I did. I came across DMX and my boy, again, Young Lord's studio was like, you don't never know who you gonna see in there, man. And he just came through and he was, he was X. And he was just listening to some beats and, he was real amped up and aggressive. And we just watching his motion, watching his action. And, when he started spitting, it was just crazy. You know what I'm saying? So at this time, I'm just taking notes. You know what I'm saying? I'm really more so in the cut. I'm like, all right, let me listen and digest everything that I'm seeing and everything that I'm hearing. So yes, I did get to meet X. And I wound up doing a song with Drag On called My Age Is Up. That was another underground hit that did very, very, very well.
Do you have any wild stories seeing DMX? It seems like everybody has a wild story when they're around DMX.
Nah, I never really had no wild stories about X. I just seen him at the, we did this thing called an Impact Convention. It was real popping during that time. And we performed on BET Soundstage. It was me, LL Cool J, Master P, Destiny's Child, DMX, Dragon. He had the record Down Bottom with Young One. And back then, you know, you actually had to have your wax and your CDs, your physical copies available for people. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't an easy time. You know what I'm saying? But he ripped it down and he just showed love, gave him a couple of pounds. So no, those were the two times that I seen X.
Okay. Did you ever come across Jay-Z?
Oh hell yeah, a lot of times. Yeah.
Okay.
I came across Hove at Jeezy's listening party. I forget what album it is, don't quote me. But it's me, Fabulous, Paul Kane, Blue Da Vinci, and Young Jeezy. And we in this building, we going to this building, this skyscraper down in Midtown. And we just sat in this room. It kind of looked like the room was like all carpeted, door closed. And we just sat there drinking some Viva Clico, chilling, smoking some weed. And then he was like, yo, y'all guys could come in. And we went in and Jay-Z was sitting to the right. And I think it was him, L.A. Reid, and another person. So my homeboy's from California. He's from Carson Boulevard. We not what we used to be back then, but you know, he was a good brother during the times. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no bad things to say about nobody, but good brother at the time. And he starts crip walking. So he's crip walking in front of Jay-Z. I'm like, yo, what message is this dude trying to send? This is Jay-Z. Like, yo, this dude is bugging. So he like, yo, listen, man, I heard the songs I needed to hear. Yo, it's crazy Ace of Spade over here. You could take that. And whatever else y'all want, I'm out. So probably next 2 to 3 weeks, I hear Death of the Auto-Tune. Get somebody from BMF to talk on it, give it to a blood and let a crip walk on it. So that was definitely from that night, because the only BMF dudes in there was Blue Da Vinci, at the time myself, Young Jeezy, Fabulous, and Paul Kane. And that's how that line from Death of the Auto-Tune, I believe in my heart of hearts that's where that came from. Because I can't think of no other place where it would come from besides that night. So that was my one of many interactions with Jay-Z.
Oh, okay. I see. That's interesting. Okay.
My uncle actually used to do bodyguard work for OG Wan. My uncle Craig Singleton, aka Large, he passed on now, but he did a lot of work for OG Wan. Him and OG Wan was great friends since they was young. You know what I'm saying? So I started to see Jay quite often. I would go down to the 4040, Tata and all of them would be down there. And it was just regular. It was real cool. You know what I'm saying? So it was all cool. It was all love.
All right. Now, Nas drops Illmatic, you know, and you guys got this relationship, man. You know, what are some things, you know, that maybe like somebody might not know that was going on or that you seen at the time, you know, when everything was going down?
As far as in what aspect?
Just being around Nas and Queensbridge and everything.
Well, again, that was the early years. So my most recent, well, the next time I really got a chance to kick it with him again was with Tone from the Track Masters. And he had just dropped You Can Hate Me Now. So I was telling Tone, like, cause Tone was signed to Select Records with me. And he was having a single release party for it. So I went down there and again shook his hand. Yo, what up, big son? That's what we call him, son. And you know, just showed him a lot of love and kicked it. And I was just watching the growth in him musically. And I'm like, yo, man, we got to get to that caliber of music the best way we can. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think many could reach that caliber, you know? So I just was like, let me be the best Computa I could be. let me be the best me I could be. I said, because the way that this guy is going, he's just a different, he's like the Michael Jackson of hip hop. Like, just put it that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? To me, Nas is incomparable. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, other people may beg to differ, but, you know, Nas is incomparable to me. And it's good to be able to watch, learn, and observe greatness in that aspect, you know, so.
Okay, now, in your opinion, what do you think started the Nas and Jay beef?
I don't know, really. I just think,
They say the earliest part of the beef that anybody can find is TV. I think Jay-Z said in his last interview, Lex with TV sets the minimum, and Jay-Z had the Lexus at the time.
Right. I don't really know what started it, but I was kind of like, I really wasn't really paying that much of attention to it, because my mind is really focusing on, now I got to get to where I got to go. But it's, from people in the streets, I hear it brewing, but I'm thinking, this is, pretty much nothing. This is just probably some shit that's going to fade out, some shit that's going to be, a little bit of whatever, jabs being thrown, but nothing that I thought would, turn out to be, no takeover, no ether, none of that. You know what I mean?
Now, I think I've seen that there was a guy named Fred, or you talked about a guy named Fred Maneo?
Fred Maneo, he's the one who gave me and my partner Cash our start. He's the one who gave us the $500,000. We was the first. I'm black, he's Italian, so it was like, it was the two worlds, emerging together, and it was dope. I just feel that if he would have took the time to see what we were saying and trying to just, sometimes, believe it or not, much respect to Fred though, a lot of these record companies and these people get in the way of the artist. Sometimes you just gotta let the artist be the artist and let the artist just, let their vision be told. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop trying so much to make something out of the artist and just let the artist be what they gonna be. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like AZ, for instance, I think when he signed the E1 or something like that, they just told AZ, man, just go do what you do, be the best you that you could be, and greatness came out of it. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to my brother DR Period. He produced More Money, More Murder. That's another funny story. So he's my A&R at the time, DR Period. And me and Papoose used to, we were under artist development. So we would go to DR spot on Bushwick and Decatur, and we would go write our rhymes. Like, we'd write our rhymes, and DR had a little lobby, and then you go inside, and, his mom is cooking some great food, and you know what I'm saying? And he and there getting busy on the beat. So me and Pap, we out there writing, you know what I'm saying? I'm writing, he writing, and I'm hearing this airy sound, but I know it's from the OJs, and I'm like, yo, this might be us. I think we got one. So I asked DR, I'm like, yo, this is us? He's like, nah, bro, this ain't y'all, man. This is for Nas and AZ. So I see a Jaguar drop. I think it's like burgundy tan top. AZ and Nas walk in. I'm like, yo, what up, son? What up? Hey, what up? And they went in, DR closed the door, and, they had their session. And we got to hear that record first before anybody. That's true story, true facts. Besides Papoose, AZ, and Nas, and DR, nobody else heard that record until it was done, I don't think, unless it was maybe, some of the executives over at AZ spot or where Nas was at. So, yeah.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Now, were you around when everything started going down between Tupac and Nas?
Nah, I wasn't involved in any of that. I seen Pac one time, I seen Pac one time, and that was during Above the Rim, because he filmed that in a lot of areas in Harlem where, where I'm from. And, I went to the Rucker, got to shake his hand, got to meet him. Pac was super cool, down to earth. He was a good brother, full of energy, full of life. And he wasn't afraid of the people. A lot of artists, they shy away from the people. Pac was in the midst of the people. He was like, yo, where to look at, where the weed at? Like, you know what I'm saying? That was, what I got from Pac, you know what I'm saying? So I was actually blessed to meet Pac, you know what I'm saying? And to me, that was definitely a milestone in my life. And my little cousin Ra is on, I think it's All Eyes on Me. It's either All Eyes on Me or Me Against the World, Lil Ra from the Outlaws. Shout to my little cousin Ra. He's on Pac's album.
Damn, okay, that's dope.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do got a funny story for you though. I got a funny story, it just dawned on me. So Pun bought this Helix, this scooter. He's zipping through the Bronx on this scooter. And I was on a mini bike, a chopper, man. And we was racing on, I was on a little chopper, like the little small ones, man. And we raced up and down all night long. And he was kind of like, yo, how the is this little chopper keeping up with my bike, man? Like my Uncle Tef, he souped it up, man. Shout to GHB, the Go Hard Boys, man. He souped the bike up, man. And we used to, once in a while I'd see him or whatever on the bike. He'd be on the Southern Boulevard or somewhere over there on Vice and, run into him and, we'd ride together once in a while. So that's another cool Pun story that I had in the back of the mental.
Where would you guys ride to? Just around New York?
Nah, just basically the Bronx, Southern Boulevard, Freeman Street, 174th and Vice, our area, Forest Houses, 163rd Street, Prospect, Tinton Avenue. So, we would just go ride. My uncle had a bunch of bikes, so I could ride whatever I wanted. 80s, DRs, whatever dirt bike was available, I was able to get on them. And my uncle used to keep all the dirt bikes in the crib. Yo, we had dirt bikes in the crib in the projects, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like 5 and 6 dirt bikes, even a street legal bike, man. Like crazy, like a whole motorcycle in the living room was absolutely insane, man. So, yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, well, why in there? You guys didn't have a garage or nothing to put them in?
Man, we was lucky we had the projects to live in at the time. You know what I'm saying? We were just figuring out life, man. We were just trying to put it together. And eventually, once I got into the music and he made some smart choices and ideas for himself, we was able to financially elevate, get homes and do different things later on down the line. But those beginnings was real and they was rough. You know what I'm saying? So it was actually real cool. You know what I mean?
No, that's pretty cool. Bring it in.
Yeah, ain't no capping, ain't no capping, man, no capping.
You gotta stop people from stealing your motorcycle, man.
Yeah, and what place to keep it better keep it in the project apartment. It's crazy, you know what I mean?
There you go.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever come across Jim Jones or Dipset and anybody?
Cam, I came across Cam a lot. Cam used to play basketball with my cousin, Gary Saunders. And, I would go to some of the Gauchos games because my brother was playing against them. So I would see Cam and them all the time, in the Gauchos gym, Riverside, all of that stuff. So Cam is from over there by 140th. And I'm from 152nd. So, that's not too far from the area. My Uncle Bat was a legendary gangster from out of Harlem. And I would see them out there and, it was like a lot of love. That's when Max B was, we used to call him Charlie Rambo back then. And he'd be out there in 40th and all that. So, yeah, Cam, not much Jim Jones. Jim Jones was like from the east side somewhere. We west side, we uptown boys, so.
Oh, okay, so you never ran across Jim Jones?
Nah, but I would see Cam all the time. We wasn't like super buddy, like, but, I watched him play. He was, he had talent and all that, and he was, good at basketball. And when I heard him, making music, I was like a little surprised, but, it worked out for him. So salute to him. Congratulations to, what he did in music. He didn't make it in basketball, but he turned it around for himself. It takes, people of great ability to be able to do something else and, make something out of yourself. So salute to Cameron and what he did,
And you used to see him in Harlem?
Yeah, all the time, regularly.
What about Mace?
I used to see Cam actually, we had the same connect back in the days. I'd be going to buy work, man, to get money, and he was buying work, you know what I'm saying? I bump into him sometime that way, you know what I'm saying? But Mace, I saw Mace a lot too. Mace was another ball player. They if I'm not mistaken, they played for the same team.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Dame Dash.
Dame Dash is from 1199, so I never seen Dame Dash. I never seen Dame Dash at all, really. Nowhere.
Oh, okay. He's from a different part of Harlem.
Yeah, he's not from our area. Our area was like really the poppin' area. The west side is like Willie Burgers, the Rooftop. You had Third Planet, the Dunbar. You had AZ Spot, AZ Joint, the Jukebox. So all that's west side, upper west side, so that was more east side, like I get with Dame and Jim Jones and them from the east side, whatever. But I never really saw them.
What did everybody think about Mace when he blew up?
Everybody was kind of happy, happy for him because, he was a Harlemite, people were happy to see somebody from Harlem blow up and do great, you know what I'm saying? And I think it was a good look for Harlem that, he blew up and he took it to another level, so that was like a win for Harlem.
What about when he quit rapping out of nowhere?
I don't know, man. People just, I guess people lose the love. They want to try something else. They want to get involved in something else. They want to be a part of something else. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But it was cool. I mean, he came in and got his money and did what he did. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. Rest in peace to my cousin Pop Lottie too, man. Just want to say that for that much. Shout to Frank Nettie, Pop Lottie. I love y'all, man. Bandanas, Playboy swag. You know what I mean? Uncle Ro, what up? Yeah.
All right, yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to Cam Capone News. This is Official Busy B, and I got a guest today, a man whose life story sounds like a movie, but he's got the digital memory to prove it all. They call him Computa. Welcome to the show, Computa.
Yo, what up, bro? Thank you for having me. What up?
Yeah. So, man, look, I just want to get into something real quick with you.
Right.
Man, I want to talk about, let the fans know where you're from.
I'm from Harlem River Houses, born in Harlem River Houses, 152nd Street, West 220th. And I grew up between Harlem River and Forest Houses in the Bronx.
Yeah, what was it like back then living in those days?
Oh, man. Oof. Bittersweet, because
Okay.
the family was, I'm not going to go into the name dropping and all that, but I'm going to just say this much. The family was getting a lot of paper. A lot of paper. If you know, 116th Street was the heroin capital of New York City. And in order to be in that loop, you had to be chosen to be in that loop. This is the dope game. This ain't like crack where anybody could grab up some dollars and cook up some work or whatever the case may be and come outside and blow up. This was being groomed and draft picked it into the game. So it was a lot of money flowing through the family, but there was also a lot of rough times during that period,
Man, for the younger generation, explain what it meant to like be drafted to the block.
Drafted
Like
to
how
the
were you
block.
able to come outside?
This is what the OGs taught me. Drafted into the block mean you had to be handpicked and chose by a don, by a boss, by somebody of prominence that was getting money to pick you to be a part of getting money.
Okay. So not like today where you could just come outside and you make your own self official. You could say you this and that.
Hell no.
It wasn't like that.
Hell no. Hell no. You crazy?
Okay.
Nah.
All right. I want to talk about somebody, man, maybe dear to you. She had a nickname, Mojo. Who is Mojo?
Oh my God. My mama. My baby. Yo, she was a real one, bro. God bless my mother, man. She was just a sight to behold, man. Not just because she was my mom's, but she was loved by many people, man. Ramona Lisa Singleton, man. Let that name live long in your minds and your hearts. That's my Uncle Small Paul's little sister. You know what I'm saying? And she was full of life. She was full of love. She was a great singer, funny as all outdoors, and she was very supportive of her children, man. She loved her kids, man. So
did her reputation kind of protect you? What
Say
made
that
you like
again?
a target? You know, I said, did her reputation kind of protect you? Like her being who she was? People knew like, oh yeah, that's Mojo's son. Stay away from him.
not just
Or did it
Mojo's son, it was like, yo, that's Small Paul nephew. That's Bat nephew. You know what I'm
Now
saying?
who's Small Paul? Let's talk about Small Paul.
Small Paul is my mother's brother. He was one of the major dons of Harlem during that Harlem Renaissance. You know? So not just him, Uncle Bat, you know, my Uncle Stevie, Monsanto, you know, I just had a lot of great guys around me that was legendary, man. Great uncles and great influence during that time. So it wasn't nobody running up on nobody doing nothing back in that time. And not now neither. So, you know, not saying that nobody is bulletproof, bro, but that's just what it is, man. It was honor, respect, and it was love.
Okay. So your Uncle Small Paul was a titan out there in Harlem.
Oh, yes, very much
Yeah, he
so.
was. When your Uncle Small Paul, what ended up eventually happening to him?
My uncle passed, man, and it was a real tragedy for the family, but he left such of a legacy, such of a positive legacy for us. You know, he always said, be a gentleman and a scholar. I would never forget that. Be a gentleman and be a scholar. He never pushed any of us, the younger generation, into the street. He never wanted that for us, and I respect him for that. And he put his kids through college, and actually one of my cousins is a judge right now, and I think he did a wonderful job by doing what he did with his children and giving us the love and the knowledge and the respect that he was able to give. You know, he wasn't perfect, but we love him. He's our family. You can change your friends and all that, but you can't change your family, you know?
Yeah, this is true. I want to talk
Can you
a little
dig
bit
it,
about.
baby?
Yeah, I can dig it. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about not too much. I want to talk about your father and one of his lieutenants. Would that be your father? Would that be your pops?
Well, yeah, my pops was his lieutenant for a while, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's more, whatever. You know, I'm just being real with it. He was one of his lieutenants, and, you know, his life is his life, you know what I'm saying? And I'm here to give you my life. I'm here to give you my truth, you know what I mean?
Okay. All right, so, you know, you grew up in a family full of celebrities and hustlers, you know, coming up in the block in Harlem, you know, being a part of like Harlem royalty. So you grew up around Vanessa Spino, whom happens to be Debbie Allen's cousin, and your uncle Cutmaster Dawn. I want to talk about your uncle.
Yeah, that happened to be old boy's girlfriend, but she was a sweetheart, man. You know, she was very intuitive, and, you know, she showed us a lot of love. I guess a lot of times when you get relationships with people, you build your own relationships with people around you. Just because you may have brought a person to the table don't mean that person solely belongs to you, because that person seeing things in other people that person chose to reach out to and put into other people. So yeah, shout to Felicia Rashad, Debbie Allen, beautiful people. Rest in peace to Vanessa, that was my girl.
All right, cool, man. All right, well, I hear you. You know, growing up, being in a family, full of hustlers and, celebrities around, you were seeing massive amounts of drugs as a kid, but you were also seeing high level entertainment and genius producers in your uncle Cutmaster D. Was there like ever a tug? Was there ever a tug of war for your soul back then?
Oh man, I would say yeah. My uncle was a very inspirational piece as far as music is concerned, because back then, you talking about like 80, 81, 82, 83, you talking about those years. And mind you, rappers ain't successful. Rappers are still living in the projects at this time. They might be lucky to get 600 a show, and they got to split it between 4 or 5 people, you know what I'm saying? So
okay. That's how much the industry's changed.
Yeah, that's how much the industry's changed. You know what I mean? So, so the Hustlers was the guys that we looked up to. I see Uncle Bat come up in his drop Mark 5 black and white with the bat rims and the poodles and all that. He got the big medallion on. That's Uncle Bat. That's like the real Bruce Wayne of Harlem. You know what I'm saying? We all like, yo, Uncle Bat, Uncle Bat. He stopping Mr. Softy, locking Mr. Softy down. Got the ice cream guy out there, man, giving all the kids ice cream. And, he was a very beautiful person, man. I had a lot of love and respect for him. And he gave me a lot of wisdom and a lot of jewels. And he took me under his wing, man, when I lost my grandmoms, man. And he instilled a lot of love and a lot of strength in me. He was one of the people who encouraged me to move forward into my music. You know what I'm saying? So when I was hustling and all that, I never let him know that. That was something that I pretty much kept a secret, That was just my business, but he probably wouldn't have liked that at all.
So when you were growing up, your pops, he went away, so the uncle kind of adopted to your streets. I mean, adopted you, to kind of, he was in your father figure. It seems like your uncle was your father figure, and a few other people. Did you ever run into Richard Porter?
Oh, all the time.
Did you know these people?
All the time.
For the fans who don't know who Richard Porter is, tell people who Richard Porter is.
Richard Porter is one of the great dons of Harlem, man, of the paid in full era, man. Shout to Aunt Pat Porter, shout to AZ, shout to Whip Wop, shout to Pretty Tone, shout to Gangsta Lou, man, and all the rest of the legendary people from the area in Harlem who made.
So paid in full, you really lived that.
Absolutely, not per se myself in it, but seeing it as a young kid, I saw it. I saw it myself.
What was that like, seeing all the Harlem hustlers and seeing, Rich Poe and all of those people? What is that like to a kid growing up in Harlem at that time?
Yo, listen, man, A was like, let's get into A, man. If we gonna get into anybody, let's get into A.
So for people who don't know who A is,
I'm talking about AZ Faison, the one that y'all know is Ace Boogie in the movie Paid in Full. My big bro, AZ Faison, yes. Man, A. We talk, constantly on social media. I don't call his phone much, but we stay in contact, man. And I got his number if I need it. And actually, we got a song called Streetwise Part 2 that we just finished. We just completed.
Okay, that's dope. All right.
Early days with A, man, A would ride around with the Crown Royale bags full of singles, man, and just throwing them. You know what I'm saying? And grabbing them. You know what I'm saying? And that was A. You know what I'm saying? He showed love to kids. He showed love to old folks. He showed love to adults. If you was a person that was strung out on drugs, he didn't treat you no less. He was a very, very honorable person, a good person, man.
Okay. So were you around when he unfortunately when I believe his nephew was kidnapped and killed?
Yeah, that was Rich. That was Rich. That was Rich.
Oh, that was Rich. I'm sorry. Yeah, Were you around during that time? Do you remember exactly when that happened?
I remember when it happened. I remember seeing the newspaper when it happened. It was
you remember the vibration, what it felt like around your family?
Oh man, it hurt the entire Harlem, man. It hurt the entire Harlem to see a kid lose his life, man, by such of a yo, you know what? I see these dudes doing these podcasts about dudes like Preacher, like he's worthless, man. He's nobody. He's not even worthy to be spoken of, man. Any person that would have anything to do with the life of a child being taken away, man, is a coward and is less than a man, man. And I'm so sorry to Miss Velma, R.I.P., to Rich and Aunt Pat and his family, man, for them to have to go through that, and also to lose Rich too, man. That was a very sad time in Harlem, man. You know, it was like a black cloud flew over Harlem during that time, man.
Around how old were you at that time?
I was in junior high school, maybe about 14.
Okay, all right, cool. So you old enough to know, like, you was moving around, you know. So yeah, that must have impacted you greatly. Mm-hmm. Did you ever see Alpo?
Many times. He was all up and down 8th Avenue like crazy, man. Doom buggies. He used to have doom buggies, Corvettes, and all that. You know, just loud, wheeling. You know, jokester. You know, he was out there regularly, man. You could see him at any given time or whatever. You know, he was outside.
Is it true? I heard a story. Maybe you know, I don't know. They say that, you know, after he got out the witness protection program, he was coming back through Harlem like nothing had happened.
Oh, he was. He was on his motorcycle playing Billie Jean.
On his motorcycle playing Billie Jean.
He was bumping Billie Jean on his motorcycle and flying up and down 8th, 7th, East Side, everywhere. He was outside. Like,
did it seem like he still had money?
He had to have some kind of money to be moving like how he was moving. I don't know what another man's pockets is like, but he was outside.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I understand it. But was Cat with him still, or was he just allowed?
Yeah, Cats was with him. That was talking shit. He was yoking them up, and they was taking pictures with him. You know what I mean? I seen it.
What?
The same people that said that they ain't like him or they ain't with him or whatever the case may be, they was lining up to get with him, man. They was lining up to hug him, lining up to take pictures with him. Everywhere he was at, they wanted to be there, man. So, you know, that was the truth. I'm from Harlem, man. So I ain't got no reason to sit here and tell you no bull. That's what it was, bro.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So man, that whole era, man. You know, it's funny how, you know, people said he was a snitch. You know, they said all of this, and how people they still ride. You know, they still gonna go when he show up. It changed. Were you around in Harlem when he got murdered?
Yeah, hell yeah. I seen him a couple of times. He stopped me and spoke to me. Said what's up to me. Yo, what's up, baby? You know, in Harlem, my name is BG, Baby George. Yo, what's up, Baby George? Yo, what's up, kid? What's going on? Yo, what's up with Slug? What's up with your family? Yo, what's up with this person, that person? Yo, what's good, man? Yo, you a grown man now, you know what I'm saying? Yo, I see you, and about his business, you know what I mean?
Whoa, okay, cool, man. That's a dope story, man. That's a dope story, man. It's crazy. Man, so look, I want to talk about a little bit while you in the Bronx with your grandma. You know, while you was with your grandma at one point in time, you know, you was out there moving around, and this is the beginning, you know, you starting your hip hop career, and you was in the projects with Lord Finesse, and you know, you had Grandmaster Flash around, and you ended up being on a movie set of two real legendary movies, Wild Style and Fort Apache. I want you to talk about that real quick.
Yo, that's super crazy, because I would never even, like, that was so far out of my range. I was coming from Alexander's. I don't know if you remember Alexander's back in the days.
Nah.
Alexander's was like a shopping center. It was like a little version of Macy's in the hood, or Gimbals, or whatever the case. And me and my grandmoms happened to be coming back from Alexander's, and Paul Newman and Danny Aiello and all of them was doing a scene in front of the 42nd precinct, and they was like, let the brothers go, let the brothers go. They did a scene when they locked up a whole bunch of people for some rioting and whatever. And my grandma was like, you want to throw one of the bottles? And I was like, yeah. And they had like a little bottle, and when you break them, they turn into sugar. So I was like, let the brothers go. I was mad
like,
little, man.
So like, you know, just set stuff, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a props.
I was mad little, bro. I don't know if you could barely see me in there, but I was there. I was in there. You know what I mean?
Oh man, that's another great dope story. But look, so as you going through with your career, you start rapping, you going around. Now you've adopted, you know, you computer killer. You got a different
Oh, let's
name.
not forget Wild Style, bro, because I got to shout to my man Lil Sput, because they was on Prospect Avenue shooting Wild Style, man, and they was doing a lot of intakes, and having kids push the car, and I got a chance to do that, you know what I'm saying? And that was pretty cool too. That was during the time the stray dogs could just run from anywhere. It was just stray dogs, and they'll chase you.
I remember that. Yeah.
I
remember those. That was those days clearly.
That was the burnt down Bronx era, bro. You know what I mean? So, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, no, you good. You posting. I'm talking about your career. So you getting off the ground. You inspired by the music. Mm-hmm. So you know you got your uncle who's a producer. He's producing tracks at that time, from what I understand, your history for Teddy Riley, everybody.
Before you get into that, I gotta give you Tef. I gotta break down Cutmaster Don. I gotta break down Darnell Villanueva. I gotta break down his movement, right? So my grandpops went out and bought him Technique 1200s, Gemini mixes with the echo chamber. And I would go with him to the Wiz. We would get Frisco Disco. We would get Crash Crew. We would get Jimmy Spicer, Spoonie G, Treacherous 3, Feel a Heartbeat, and he was just cutting up everything. And he would take, we had a Betamax at the time, you know, Betamax back then was probably
the new
about.
generation don't have an idea what a Betamax is.
Yeah, Betamax was a home movie sensor where you could just pop the tape in back then. That was like $1,500 or something like that, $1,200 maybe.
You was balling if you had a Betamax in your house.
So that would be like equivalent to like $4,000, $5,000 in today's money. And then we had, and we had WHT. So I don't know how he did it. Don't ask me, but he's a super genius. He would run samples from WHT, record it onto the Betamax, run it on the reel-to-reel, and then he was looping his beats with a tape, to the point he got good enough to where he started doing it on the reel-to-reel. And then he started going to the studio, Ready or Not, and his demo got passed to a guy named Kemp that was down with Teddy Riley. And they liked him. They wanted to sign my uncle, but they didn't want to sign one of my uncle's peoples. And my uncle said, if you can't sign all of us, I ain't with the. So he started pouring everything into me, and that's how I became.
Okay. So now you doing your thing. So that's a dope story about Unc, man. Shout out to Unc. You doing your thing. Mm-hmm. And now you making your first demo tapes. You got your demo tapes out there. So you got a story from what I heard one of your other interviews, you know, and how you was moving around through BX now, and you got a friend, and he's the one that took you, and this is how you develop your relationship with Nas. Can you talk about that?
Hell yeah. So Grand Wiz is my man 6ix9ine's cousin. They cousins.
We're not talking about the 6ix9ine from Brooklyn, are you?
No. We talking about the real 6ix9ine from Queensbridge. Not the rainbow hair. Not the rat. Right. Not the rainbow hair rat dude. Nah.
That's all.
Nah.
Get a clarification.
Nah, right. not him. So 6ix9ine is really 6'9" and tall. You know what I mean? So right. He like, yo, he lived in Lord Finesse building. Him and Finesse lived in the same building. So he like, yo, come with me to QB. I'm like, what's Queensbridge? I heard Queensbridge in songs, but I didn't really know what it was until I got there and I seen these crazy miles long ass projects, like the biggest projects in the world. And I came out there in like 80, 88, 89. And I was just going to Queens on a regular. There was some dudes I met out there, good dudes. Fat Slate with the glasses, Draws, Yambo, Of course, Wiz, Godfather, all them dudes is good, great dudes, man. And of course, Nas and Jungle.
Okay, so when you first pull up, you in Queensbridge, you with Wiz, and you meet Nas. What's your first thoughts of him?
Son was like, he had big aura. Son just had aura. He was like, you already know what he's gonna be. Like if you in tune with your spiritual self, you already know what he's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? He was definitely, and he was real, like almost mysterious, mythical. He wasn't even like a real person, kind of like. He was real.
Damn, even back then, before he became...
Even back then, bro. Even back then, you know what I'm saying? He had the jewels on. He was like he reminded me of a Harlem dude. You know what I'm saying? He had that Harlem swag. He was real laid back, smoking L's, you know what I'm saying? Drinking Heinies and all that. Son was real cool. Dapped him up. Yo, what's up, yo? It's my bro Computa. Blah, 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 blah. And same with Wiz. And that's where the relationship forming. And not Nate Sean from the Bravehearts is my cousin, so.
Yeah, shout out Nate Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you tell a story about, you hear the song Halftime.
Right.
Before it became what it was. Tell me about the first time you heard Halftime.
Yo, when I heard Halftime, it kind of like, it put me in a position to say like, if you can't up your ante lyrically to this point right here, you might as well don't even think about rapping. You might as well don't think about being an MC. Nas took it to a level where he forced the entire music industry to update ante. And that's big facts, man. Everybody's been inspired by Nas. He's the Michael Jackson of hip hop.
The Michael Jackson of hip hop.
Yes, he is.
That's crazy,
yes,
man.
Nas is the Michael Jackson
man,
of hip hop.
shout out, son. Shout out Esco, man.
Shout out Esco, shout out Jung, man.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of Jung, so tell me, you got a crazy story where you talk about the first time when you meet Jungle. Now that's the only person I ever heard with the nickname Jungle. Can we talk about Jungle for a second?
6ix9ine is like, yo, let's go to the Hill. The Hill is where like C-Town and all that is. I think it's a school or something over there now. And everybody used to go over there and chill. We go over there and hang out, whatever. And we over there chilling, cooling. Nas come through. And here come little slim dude. He got like the twist on the top with the little fade. Like, yo, word up, yo, word, son. Yo, word up, man. Anybody could get it. I got all the heat. What up, son? Word up. He was wilding.
He was wilding.
He was wilding. He was on go time. This is early back then. You know what I mean? So, and he always been that Jung, man. You know?
Okay.
I love him. Yeah. That's my bro, man.
Yeah, so Jung is that. So pretty much you had a front row seat and you watched Nas become a superstar.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. All right. What is one thing about Nas's rise of fame that the public wouldn't know about Nas?
Nas was a very, Nas was an intellect, and he was very, very, he was very book smart. Like he was self-taught, you know what I'm saying? He read a lot.
Is it true his pops told him, hey, if you want to rhyme, quit school, and gave him a gang of books? Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually, when Thomas Illmatic came out, when the movie came out, we was invited to come see the movie. So we watched the movie, and shout to Mr. Olu, and God bless Miss Ann Jones too. So we actually sat there and we watched, and I'm like, oh shit, his pops told him don't go to school. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, wow, that's crazy. But he also,
yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, he didn't just tell him
not to go to school.
Yeah, he didn't tell him just not to go to school, but he told him also, like, yo, you know, pick out, you know, what you want to do, what you want to be, man, because you ain't going to be it going to school. And I'm watching, we're in the Albany Palace, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting front row and I'm watching it. Actually, Nas put me on stage that night to come do a little hype up for they shooting. That was a very, very big and prominent moment for me for that. So shout to Nas for that. Salute, Esco.
Yeah, man. So you got a story, man, I hear about meeting Big L, and you say the first time you met Big L, you said you went home and tore up all your rhymes. Is that true?
Yo, bro, I tore everything up. I tore everything up. I tore everything
Big
up,
L
bro.
he was that nice?
Oh my God, bro. So he was with, Lord Finesse is the one that actually grabbed him up, but he was with Showbiz on this particular day. And they had just put out a record called Yes You May. And
Okay.
I was like, yo, he said, I've been rocking mics since wearing pro cabs. I only roll with originators. Chicks stick to my like magnets on refrigerators. I'm a crazy mean lyricist. Many y'all in fear of this. Yeah, so they stand clear of this. The those that refuse to order. Big L, bruise and slaughter. Hear me and take notes like a news reporter. I've been the rapper like a fender. I'm slender, but far from tender. Killing like a clan member. I said,
Man,
oh
nice.
my God. I went upstairs and I ripped up all my everything. I started all over. I started all over.
So is it safe to say Big L is often called the greatest what if rapper of all time?
We can't call him a what if rapper because even though he didn't have the longevity, he still made his staple in hip hop. A what if is a person that never happened.
That's kind of true. We still talking about him to this day.
Yeah,
That's true.
So he made his staple, man. Children of the Corn, it was Cam, Bloodshed, Big L, and Mace. Yeah, we was all on a Bad Boy. Young Lord was one of the Bad Boy hitmen, one of my great friends, just back in the 90s. And it was Children of the Corn, myself, Jesse West, Third Eye, and Crime Family, Jay Nitty and Loon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so you in the industry now. You moving around, you in the talks, from what I understand, you get signed to Select Record. You sign a deal with Select Records, whose parent company is Warner Brothers. Is that right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Parent
so
company is Warner.
you're moving around, and you got this story that I saw, and you say you met Nelly back in the day when he was trying to get a deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Tell me about that. Tell the fans about that.
So I come into Select Records. You got to get buzzed in to get in there. You got to get buzzed in. So buzz in, I come in, and we used to have this little conference room to the right. Yo, these dudes had on hockey masks, wild look, and I'm like, yo, who is this? I'm like, yo, we need the strap in here. What's going on? So I'm like, yo, what up? He like, yo, what up, Dirty? I'm like, Dirty. I'm like, yo, these bugging. I'm like, who you talking? He's like, nah, that's the slang from the Lou. I'm like, yo, what's the Lou? He like, yo, St. Louis. So he had a little DAT tape, and he played what I'm going down. What would be I'm going down, babe? That song, but that's not what the song was called. It was called Hot.
Okay.
So in the beginning, when you hear Hot, I'm going. He faded it out. So as I'm listening to it, I'm like, yo, they never gonna play Hot on the radio. You can forget that. If you want commercial spins, you should take I'm going down, baby, yo street in the rain, boom, boom. That should be the hook. And he used it.
Damn.
He used it. He took that formula, and he wound up going over. Actually, Fred was going to give him a couple of $1 million, but I think Cool to Love and them over at Universal gave him 5 or 10 million, something like that.
Well, hey, Nelly also, when they gave him 5 to 10 million, do you realize Nelly went on to sell 10 million records? That
he went diamond. He went diamond.
Yeah. Looking back, was there a specific moment when you realized the industry was about to shift from the East Coast to the South?
Big time. What
was that moment?
When I met Master P.
Okay.
So I met Master P through Amid Henderson over at Priority Records. So they was having what's called the Impact Convention in Nashville, Tennessee. Dolly Parton, I think, is like a co-owner, owners in that hotel. Hotel got a ship in it. It's crazy. And everybody was there. LL Cool J, Destiny's Child, Cool G Rap, Rough Riders, every artist in the game. And I started to hear like this South type of vibe, this South flavor that was just crazy. It was like a South energy that was real big aura, crazy aura. And when I heard Bout It, I loved it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I never really listened to any South hip hop before. But Master P took a liking to me, man, and he kicked it with me and he told me, you know, you see how the Africans is bootlegging and selling your music? You need to bootleg your own music and sell it out the trunk and make your own money if somebody else is gonna do that for you. So he was the first person.
Man, that's a heavy gem.
Yeah,
Master P told you, he said the Africans are burning your own music and selling it.
Right.
You should burn your own music and sell it as well.
Absolutely. Shout to Master P, man, and shout to Silk the Shocker, man. Free C Murder, man. Yo, that's my guy, man. I got to meet him.
Yeah, how did that one sentence change your life?
It changed my life dramatically as far as hip hop is concerned, because now I wanted to start getting that independent money, because Master P was showing that, you know, if you cut the record company out, like, you know what I'm saying, and you got your own money, you can make all the money for yourself, you know what I'm saying? And that's why No Limit became as big as they was, and they set the trend for all artists to come after that, from Cash Money to Rockefeller to Murder Inc. to everybody else you could think of. So
yeah, they definitely started that wave and that movement. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so going back to the Impact thing, that was your first major stage performance, and you know, you made a song, and a lot of people may not know, your song stayed at #3 spot for 11 weeks. What song was that?
That was Ground Zero for the World Trade Center. And
oh wow.
Yeah, and all the proceeds went to everybody that we lost in the World Trade Center or anybody that was affected by it.
Okay, now while you held the spot for #3 at 11 weeks at #3, who were some of the artists that I hear, and I hear it's a pretty dope list, but who were some of the artists that you beat out while you had the #3 spot on the Billboard?
R. Kelly, Snoop Dogg.
Wow.
LL.
Wow.
One of my idols, Nas.
Okay.
Just to name a few.
Man, you had some bragging rights for 11 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
11-week bragging rights for #3. That's hard to do considering today's age on the top Billboard Top 100. We don't have any hip hop artists on the top Billboard 100.
Yeah, and it went
today's
platinum.
Current music, there's not one hip hop artist that's there.
Yeah, it went platinum. So for all y'all that think if all y'all think it's capping, go look up what's that? When the World Trade Center was 2002 or 1?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
2001, 2002, whenever the World Trade Center happened, go to Billboard and look up your boy Computa, man. Ain't no capping here, it's real rapping, you dig?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now you're in the industry. I want to talk about you're rolling with Nas.
Mm-hmm.
You're rolling with Nas. You got, you know, and back in those days, Nas had some real smoke, some beef. He had Jay-Z, Jim Jones, you know.
Well, I'm not, no, let's get it corrected. I'm not rolling directly with Nas. I'm more rolling with kind of like, I'm more Jungle and Nation. Esco was really in his own world. I'm really more Esco.
Bravehearts,
yeah, Bravehearts. I'm really more Bravehearts. I'm really more Grand Wiz. I'm really more Jungle. I'm really more Nation. Jungle just completely left Queensbridge and was in the Bronx like he owned it on 174th and Vice. He come into Forest houses to stay at my grandmom's crib sometimes, hang out with me and Nash. We bum rushing Half crib. Have like, yo, I told you to come. I told you, yo, this is supposed to be your session to focus on your music. I know once I get with Jung and Nash, you ain't getting no music done because we gonna start reminiscing and we gonna start drinking. But it was a good moment, and then I came back, and that was how Everything You Got came about. Got It If the Fiends won it with me and Nation. And yeah, man, me and Jung and Nash had a lot of fun riding around in Nash Camaro with the top off, drinking gallons of Henny, smoking weed, riding through the Bronx like we owned everything, man. So
it's going crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yo, what's the difference now, you think, of when cats had beef back then? You know, they took to the wax. What's the difference between cats having beef now and what you see in the new hip hop culture?
Dudes is girls, man. Dudes is soft, man. They full of feminine energy. If you can't make a record and keep it hip hop, like, yo, it's just words, bro. Like, it's words. Now, if you violating somebody's moms, you violating somebody's kid, or you talking about something that's real sensitive, I could see where drama could unfold, or if the rapper actually is a real street dude that got y'all got real street beef, I could understand that. But if it's just battle, and it ain't all that, leave that alone, man. You know, we here to be one people, one love, and make music and be successful, man, and grow together, man. That's what we here for, bro.
Okay. All right. Now, you called Nas the Michael Jackson of hip hop earlier, man, and I salute, and that's a strong statement. And you know, you stood 10 toes. Yeah, you stood 10 toes down with him. You saw the rise of Nas. You saw everything. But an interesting question: at some point in time, it seemed like the industry tried to blackball Nas. You know, what you think that was about, and how did he survive it?
It's no blackballing Nas. It's no blackballing Nas. He's a power. Certain people have a power that you just can't. When God is with you, and he walking with you, and he got a purpose in your life, it's nobody that could stop you. There's no such thing as a black ball. God step on black balls and crush them, man. The 8 ball, whatever you want to call it, he just got his hand on certain people, and certain people are chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen, man. So that's not possible.
So yeah, part of the culture, Nas, he made it through all of that. You know, you had 50, he went through his thing,
man, that dude,
back and
listen,
forth.
let me tell you something about Fifth, He like that, man, for real. No bullshit. And I ain't going bullshit. He like that. Yo, we on 116th Street. It's pretty fair weather outside, man. Springtime, kind of like. So we see, like, I think it's a 500 or 600 Benz TV'd out. You know what I'm saying? Homie got the coin piece on his neck and all that. He jump out the car. He trying to holler at my man, baby moms. Like, yo, I'm 50.
So
I'm like,
50 jumps out of the car and he's trying to holler at your man's baby mom.
He pulled the car. Yo, bro, this dude pulled the car over. My man Artie from the Feds magazine had the Denali. We standing outside the Denali. This pull up right next to where we at and start. I'm like, yo, my man, you bugging the fuss, my man, girl. He like, yo, man, yo, da-da. And he's still trying to. And then we having some words, and then he just bust out laughing. He like, all right, man, yo, man, yo, my name 50B, yo, what's your name? I'm Computa,
so
man.
Know who he was? You didn't know it was 50 at that time.
I knew kind of him. I think he had, what's that record? Murder. I think it's Murder. I don't believe you, Murder. Whatever that is, whatever that record was at the time, that's the record that he had out. But long story short, he gave me his Motorola flip phone. We exchanged Motorola flip phone numbers and whatever the case.
That tells your age.
Yeah, yeah, word. And years later, I wound up opening up for Get Rich or Die Trying in the Baltimore Marina. Me, Maserati Fox, and Shay Davis and Lil Boozy, man. We wound up opening up for 50.
Man, do you see that same I don't care who in front of me attitude 50 still carried to this day?
Absolutely. He a Cancer like me, so you could imagine, man. I'm July 10th. He a Cancer. Yo, I know how Cancers give it up. Mike Tyson, Lil Kim. Shout out to all the Cancers, man. Word.
Okay. All right. So I wanna extend your story where we start talking a little bit about, how you got introduced, and you the Southern rap was swinging, and you moving through the industry, you're doing good, and you got a story how you meet S-Class, and S-Class at Quad Studios. How did you meet S-Class?
So it was this girl named SKG. She was messing with S-Class. She was messing with S-Class, some chick. I don't want to call her a chick because she alley-ooped the situation, so I don't want to call her a chick. But she introduced me to S-Class or whatever the case may be. And once she introduced me to S-Class took the music over to Blue and took the music over to Blue Da Vinci. And when she took the music over to Blue Da Vinci, he wound up putting Sitting Sideways
So
and
you know
Strip
Blue.
for Me on the World is BMF's album.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you over there, you meet Blue Da Vinci, and you and Blue, y'all start working?
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah, so you over there, do you have an idea about anything that's going on with
I don't know what BMF is at this time. I ain't never seen a
Okay, all right.
BMF. I ain't never heard of BMF or none of that. I just knew that they were some serious dudes from the West Coast that was putting their work in, and from the West and the Midwest, and some from down South. And then I started seeing dudes from all over, everywhere, man. And I just started to see that it was a brotherhood. And I wound up having some great relationships with Big Cuz, Bull, man, T.I., Little Scrappy, Trina. Everybody who was somebody was a part of that movement at the time. You know what I'm saying?
what was the energy like in the creative energy like in the studio with the BMF guys?
It was dope, man. It was dope. Everybody was very focused on the music and very focused on the sound, and we took our time doing what we needed to do in order to be prosperous. We signed to Koch, and we went over to Koch and we did some numbers over there, and then we started doing shows, and from there, strip clubs, money being thrown, Maybachs, Ferraris, Perrier Jouet. You wasn't even allowed to drink Moet. Moet was a disrespected drink in front of the homies. Like, what? You drinking Moet?
Was a disrespected drink? Okay.
Yeah. You know, Rosé. You couldn't drink nothing. I don't care if it was Viva Clico, it was Rosé, it was Perrier Jouet only. To the point where the homies was taking the spray bottles off the Windex and putting it on the Perrier Jouet and spraying it on chicks in the club and all that. It was a crazy time, man. Everybody had keys to touch any any car. Everybody had full access to whatever they needed, and I felt that was just like, wow. And never an argument, never no real argument, maybe some disagreements, but as far as brotherhood is concerned, it was amazing, man.
Yeah, most people only know the tough side of BMF. I don't think people ever really knew that, they really was pushing for the, with the music, and really trying to, get it going. You've said back in the day, that you ran in the Fab a lot while you was out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Fab and BMF and how y'all was making
Paul
music
Kane,
in the studio?
Fab, all of us, man. We had Shaq, all the homies from Brooklyn, they was low lives, and shout to your recipes to Boost and Billy, shout to Dave Lowe.
Man, who are the low lives? Explain that.
The Low Lives, man, is a legendary boosting team of Polo, man. They just the legends of Polo, and they from Brooklyn. Shout to all those dudes, man. They was real good people, man. And Fab was a part of that. And he was a part of the movement as well, man. And it was good to, have New York. It was good to have Cali down south and a whole bunch of brothers together moving as a unit, getting money, so.
Man. Yeah, why do you think BMF succeeded in unity where so many other, street crews failed?
Because everybody understood the assignment.
Okay.
Everybody understood the assignment. Everybody followed the rules, man.
Okay. All right, cool. You got a funny story that I heard.
Uh-huh.
You say that, Meech would pass out money and he'd be like, yo, don't bring this money back.
Nah, you ain't bringing no money. Yo, listen. No, you ain't bringing no money back in his crib, like especially over the 10 rack, Everybody was spending that bread, man. You spend it, and spend some more. Spend it, spend some more. Spend it, spend some more, man. And me and
story. I don't know. I'm sorry. There was a story. I don't know if you can verify it. They say that some of the strippers used to have to come out there with shovels when Meech would show up.
Oh, absolutely, man. They was shoveling money, fighting over. I mean, it was crazy, man. It was one time I was in the club, man, and they was just, they was going like this. And they had bags and just was scooping and scooping and scooping and scooping, man. It was crazy, like nothing I ever seen before.
Yeah, so is it safe to say Meech is the one who started making it rain?
Absolutely. Nobody made it rain before him. Nobody. And not dollars, not $5 bills, not tens, not 20s. I'm talking about hundreds.
No way.
Yes way.
$100 bills, bro?
$100 bills. Homie wasn't throwing no singles nowhere. You can forget that.
Whoa.
You know?
Whoa.
And rest in peace to Baby Blue, man. I love Baby Blue, man. Baby Blue was my guy, man. He got taken away from us very early, man. And he was a excellent brother, man. He was actually, him and Megan Good was an item, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we talked about that on a tour bus a couple of times, and me, him, Big Cuz, and Bull, and all of us. Even Lil Mimi, he was on the bus at that time. He's a little dude then, man, you know?
So yeah, when the I want to ask you a question, man. This is a real serious one. This is about, you know, kind of the fall of BMF. You know, when the feds finally moved in, and you know, kind of, you know, the flamboyant lifestyle and all of that. Do you think that made it hot? Looking back.
I believe so in some ways. I mean, you seeing a fleet of Ferraris and Phantoms and Lambos and all kinds of joints everywhere you look, and you seeing billboards in Atlanta. What world is BMFs? You gotta only think that something negative is gonna come out of it, especially when we on Smack DVD and all that type of. So you gotta think that something is gonna come out of it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Okay, yeah. So, man, that's crazy. Do you think there'll ever be another group of men that can carry it the way that Meech carried it for the culture and for music ever again going forward? What do you see?
Never. I don't ever see that happening again.
Why not?
Because this generation is too emotional. This generation is very emotional and very and no disrespect to them, because I love my people.
What you mean is the rappers nowadays is what you're saying?
I mean rappers, whoever. I like everybody. Nobody has patience, and nobody is looking at the future goals. Everybody's living in the right now. And I think whenever you live in the right now, man, it's just a bad thing for anybody, man. Look towards the future sometimes. The future ain't gonna let you down, man. It's all right to look in the future, man. But some people can't see the future. They only can see the right now, so they live for right now, and that's why all the violence, the killings, and all that is happening, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's crazy. It seems like now, if you ask me, it ain't about your rap skills no more. It's about who got the most artillery, and who's willing to shoot the fastest. I think that's the guy that they think they look up to. It's not about talent anymore. It's about who got more firearms.
Well, you know what? Only thing you doing is killing your brother. Only thing you doing is killing another man like you, man. We got enough of that going on, man. That narrative got to change, man. Somebody got to step up and say, "Yo, man, I'm willing to change this narrative. I'm willing to make a difference with the people. I'm willing to get us together and keep us united, man. And just all that unnecessary killing. You know, it's little kids dying, old people dying from straight bullets and all that, man. That's not what it is. You heard what Esco said. He said, Illmatic make the right man bleed. You know what I mean? You know?
Okay.
So
do you think that the shift in music now, it went from New York East Coast rap, which is more conscious, more lyrical, it went to the South, which it went to South and the Midwest when it was more, you know, more dance, more beat. Now it went to the drill culture, which is shoot 'em up, bang, bang. You think drill was the sign of, you know, the decline and, you know, and the decay in the culture of rap?
To a degree, yeah.
Okay.
But I can't tell these young kids what they living, not to write about what they living, because they are living in war zones. They coming from places where they gotta get busy, where they gotta let it go. So I'm not going to tell them, you know, I'm not trying to judge, you know what I'm saying? Because unless you in their shoes and their footsteps, you know, they got to hustle to survive. They might have ops or whatever the case may be. But yes, it does play a part in the decline of the culture.
Yeah, you were there in a story that I heard. They said you met Lil Mouse back in the day.
Actually,
out of Chicago
yeah.
when he was first trying to get on.
Yeah,
Can you talk about Lil Mouse?
Yeah, Big Cuz brought Lil Mouse over to New York, and I plugged him in with Uncle Murder, got him to do some songs with Uncle Murder, got him to do a joint with me, Tech, and me and Tech from Smith and Wesson, and I'm getting him loopy in New York. Man, he was so popular in Chicago that when he came to New York, he already had fans and people running after him while he was going shopping. I didn't even know he had that much star power, man. So Lil Shorty was definitely a force to be reckoned with. I don't know what's going on with him. I haven't spoke to him in massive years, but you know, he's the first drill rapper that I ever promoted to anybody, you know, with any of my resources.
Okay, did you realize at the time that Lil Mouse sound was gonna be evolving to a global drill movement that dominates rap today?
I thought that little nigga was crazy, man. I'm like, yo, I hope this fade out, because I don't want no little kids running around acting like this, man. So I thought that little was crazy, man. But nah, I didn't think it would be like what it is today, man. Nah.
Man, who are some of your favorite rappers today? Like out of the young crowd.
Out of the young crowd, oh man. Rest in peace, man. I love King Von. King Von was amazing. Also I liked, not liked, I would say King Von, A Boogie, Dirk, Kendrick, J. Cole, just to name a few.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope. So, and then, man, I've got one more question for you, man. I want to ask you, man, why do they call you Computa? What's behind that?
My mind is a computer, the inserter, paragraphs of murder, the nightclub flirter. That come from an Esco line. My memory is sharp, bro. Everything is my input right here is like a computer, man, and you know that's really where the name come from, man. In the '75, you know what I'm saying, I used to joke with my moms, and you know when I was younger, Mom, give me 75 cents, give me 75 cents. Not my grandma's, my mom, and I never knew how to ask for $1 because I knew everything I wanted was 75 cents, and unfortunately I lost my mom's. Okay. And rest in peace, Mojo. I love you. Your kids love you. We love you. You're always in our hearts. And I also want to take the time out. Rest in peace to my grandma, Ethel May, Big Fruity, Newt, Paul, my grandfather, George, Villanueva, a.k.a. Grand Puna, and my baby girl, my queen, Alma Taylor, who raised me to be the man that you see right now. All her hard work, all of her dedication, all her blood, all her sweat, all her tears is what you see right now. She put everything into me, so I got to give it up for them, man. And I want to give it up to all of the queens out there that's raising young men to be strong and to be focused and to get out in this world and do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? When you don't have an active father around doing what they supposed to do for the children and for the kids, man. So that's very important.
Man, I want to salute you for that, man, and thank you, man, for coming onto the show, man. Where can they find you?
Computa75 _ Instagram, Computa75 Facebook, Computa75 TikTok. Look for your boy, holla at your boy, Computa75 on YouTube. Everywhere, the 75 is there. It's with a Computa, not an ER, and you already know what it is. Your boy, Computa75. Holla, I'm here, man. Cam Capone, what it do? Big B, what it do? Big Sam 100, Raekwon, what it do? Big B, where you at, man? I'm coming to the West Coast to get with you, man, and I look forward to doing some more work with you, Chief.
Man, all right, man, all the time, man. I want to thank you, man, for joining us on Cam Capone News. This is official Busy B, and I'm out. Have a good one, bro.
Official sucker ducker.
Peace.
Peace.
What's up? This Cam Capone. If you want to hear these interviews with all the cuss words in it, all the stuff we had to take out because YouTube makes us cut a lot out, all you got to do is become a member. Hit that button.